I am dining in. Are you?
Good afternoon, Dining In Club members. We are getting ready for session number 4. We are so excited because we get to talk about habits today. So this is a brief overview video of the slides in case you have to miss the class. So this is just a brief overview. We're just going to hit the slides, kind of go through them. So you have the slides in front of you. For the basic agenda, we're just going to review habits today. We're going to review a whole bunch of different things related to habits, and we're going to cruise through it. And so we're on to slide number 6 now, or 5, I think is the how do we change our relationship with food, and we have to change habits. And so this slide really goes through the basics of what a habit is. A habit is a combination of 3 specific things. One is a cue. That can be either an environmental thing outside us, external, or it can be internal, like an emotion, a feeling, a sensation. So hunger could be a cue, an emotion could be a cue, but a time of day, or watching a commercial, or seeing somebody else eat, or anything outside you could also be a cue. So we have a lot of different things that could be cues. But then what our brain does is when we follow a behavior, or we follow that cue with a behavior, and then that behavior gets rewarded, then we close that habit loop. So the 3 parts are cue, behavior, and the reward. Now, the reward closes that loop, so anything that may happen after that is no longer relevant. So, for example, if you have a cue that you want, you're hungry, you overeat, you get all the reward of that food in that moment, and that closes the habit loop. And even if you feel bad later, or if you guilt yourself later, or if you feel upset that you did that later, that does not matter. That punishment does not impact you. Now, a difference is with bariatric surgery, for example, the cue to eat is followed by overeating, but because the person has a changed stomach situation, what ends up happening is they get sick immediately. So the punishment happens before the reward of eating, and therefore it will modify their behavior. So we're just kind of understanding that basics about habits. Now, we have a lot of powerful habits, and they are related to food, and because many of them are, and because food has such reinforcement and reward so quickly, it closes that habit loop very quickly, and we learn that behavior. When we have a habit, we have to remember that eventually our brain will go on autopilot, meaning it will process without thinking and will move to the next step of that habit loop. So when the cue of hunger is present, our brain automatically goes to the eating behavior. Oftentimes that's where we get that mindless eating, where you're not really thinking about eating, but what you're doing is your brain's just going right there. And you may actually have the thought, I don't want to eat, but your brain's forcing you down that path, and you're already grabbing things out of the pantry, and you're going. And we can talk about the showering example as a powerful habit. I would encourage everyone to try this. Been giving this assignment for, the past 18 years or so to HMR patients. And one of the things that I ask them to do is, I know that all of you have a very distinctive showering habit. You pull the curtain back with a specific hand. You turn on the water with a specific hand. You test the water with a specific hand. You step in with a specific foot. You turn the same way. You wash the same way. And you do all of those things without thought. You are mindlessly showering. And if you want to see how powerful that habit is, or how powerful our brain is I want you to try to shower opposite. What I mean by that is try to pull back the curtain with the opposite hand or the other hand. Try to turn on the water with the other hand, try to test the water with the other hand, try to step in with the other foot, try to turn the other way, try to start in a different location in terms of your shower. What's going to happen is your brain's going to say, nope, that's not how I do it. I do it this way. And your brain's going to immediately get you back on to your normal habit of showering. And it will take incredible power and energy for you to overcome that normal habit. So that's what we want you to understand about habits. Now the same is true with these powerful eating habits, is your brain is going to be in that situation and it's going to say, no, Mike, this is what I do. I eat this way. And I know that you don't want me to, but I don't care. And unless I bring my A game and bring a lot of power and energy up here, I'm going to really struggle with that. Now we go on to slide number 6, which essentially is habits take about 300 repetitions to build a good, new, powerful habit, but it builds pretty rapidly. Once fully developed, we're on autopilot when that cue is present, and we need a great deal of energy to stop or hold off that habit. Our brain holds on to habits for 5 years, so we don't really get rid of an old habit. Actually, what happens is our brain goes through and decides that habit is no longer relevant, and it prunes it, it trims it. And we don't break old habits. If a cue leads to 2 fully developed habits, so let's say right now you have a hunger cue that leads to the habit of eating, but in the future you have a hunger cue that leads to you grabbing your fat and saying, hey, dine in, eat this, and you build up that new habit. Now all of a sudden your brain will pause when it has that hunger cue. And that's what we want to do with our habits, is give that pause. Before, it always went down this way, it always went around this way to the eating. Then with your exceptional power, you really forced it to dine in. And then after 300 repetitions of dining in and really getting excited and rewarding that new habit, now all of a sudden you have a pause button where when you feel the hunger sensation, your brain goes, oh crap, which one do I do? Do I go to the right? Do I go to the left? I don't know. And then your conscious brain has power to intervene. Now our food-related habits are really powerful because the food is so rewarding and so efficient. So it's really a powerful thing. So we're on to slide number 7. Unfortunately, one of the things that's happened in our brain is that we have relegated eating to something similar to toothbrushing or walking and talking, and it's become a habit. We want to make that conscious again. Now, how do we make that impact on conscious or impact on mindless eating? We're on to slide number 8 now. Excuse me. We need to identify the cue, we need to identify the behavior, and we need to identify the reward, and then we need to build a new habit starting from that same cue. And we have to bring a whole lot of energy to wake up our brain. That's what we want to do, is we really want to get our brain to go, whoa, and wake it up and say, no, I don't want to do this normal eating habit. And so we have to find ways to wake up our brain. We want to build in environmental barriers, smells, textures, barriers to get in the way of us performing that habit without thought, that will break that cycle and allow us to become aware. Now, when we go on to slide number 9, you can see that we're building that new habit alongside that other habit, and so that's pretty self-explanatory. Our new dining in habit, but we're going to have to do this with a lot of different things. And we can talk about how we want to impact our mindless eating habit. We got to wake up the brain. I want you really to use volume and power and energy. We have to bring in that brain priming that we talked about in the last session. We have to prime our brain, get it very excited about this new habit, and say, when you see the hunger, when you feel that hunger cue, or when you feel the sensation on the door of the refrigerator, or when you smell Lysol coming into the kitchen, wake up! And when you wake up, then I don't want to eat. I want to dine in. I want to dine in. And bring that real significant excitement and make sure that you're doing that. That was slide 10. That was fun. Wow, I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. So we want to go on to slide 11. And again, we want to identify those 4 to 5 main mindless eating habits that you have. Start with those. Is it when you're late afternoon snack? What's the cue? Is it fatigue, stress, the sense of low blood sugar because you ate a big lunch? Is it coming in through the door at home when you're at home? Is it mindless eating at night? Is it grazing? What are those habits? What are the cues? What are the behavior? And what's the reward for that? And then we have to build that new habit loop off of that and say, okay, we're starting with the same cues, but I'm going to tell myself something different. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to take 5 minutes. I'm going to do some meditation, breathing, whatever. Then we have to reward that new habit and really be clear about it. But we have to really prime our brain for it to make sure our brain's paying attention. Now, we want to talk about exercise habits. And this is one of the things that's important is that we want to exercise. We're going to talk in the next session about exercise and its value for your mind. But we do want to just say briefly, exercise habits when pain occurs, when we are exercising, are difficult to maintain because the cue of getting up and exercising is followed by a behavior. But before the reward for exercise occurs, we get this punishment. And so punishment will disrupt that habit loop. If punishment occurs, pain is usually punishment for most of us, but a few sickos like pain. But besides that, we want to understand that the exercise pain could disrupt our habit if we're paying attention to it. And so that's why sometimes it's hard for our people to develop an exercise habit because they're struggling with that pain. And it's not allowing them to get to the reward. So what we have to do is we have to use our mind. So now we're on to slide number 12 and 13. And on slide number 13, what most people will do is they'll focus their mind on the reward of exercise. And that's going to be much better for them. And getting them away, not attending to the pain really, but focusing your mind away on the rewards. Maybe the runner's high, maybe that you're losing weight, seeing the calories go down, feeling like you accomplished something, whatever that reward is, and you get to focus your mind on that away from the pain that's associated with the exercise. And if you do that correctly, you're going to develop a good exercise habit. So now we've gone through habits. Our agenda for class 5 will be really willpower and willpower management, and then we'll review some additional things about exercise, about the grade of that. But reminder of habits, really super powerful. Try to do that showering backwards just to find out how clearly your brain will correct you and say, nope, that's not how I do it. This brain is powerful. We're going to need a tremendous amount of energy up here, cognitive energy, brain priming, emotional energy, excitement, reward in this new habit to make sure that it gets that new habit loop started. Because when that cue, for example, of hunger is present, all of a sudden our brain wants to go to that eating behavior right away. We're training it now to go someplace else, but we need a lot of energy before that cue comes. So we have to really prime our brain well in advance. All right, we've gotten through session number 5. This is so exciting. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in session number 4. Oops. Next week is session number 5. We are having so much fun with this. I hope all of you are learning to dine in and enjoying it. Have fun eating your own fat. Have a great day.